welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back to talk more Expanse Season 4. We're doing Episode 2. It's called Jetsam. It's written by Laura Mark, and again, directed by Breck Eisner. Another fantastic episode. I mean, each one's going to get better. I have a... we get our intro, we get our slow burn. Now we're just waiting for a moment. We're waiting for something big to happen, and at the end of this, we certainly get that. So as far as second episodes go, you aren't disappointed at all. But it's a slow burn, right? It's one of the reasons why we like stuff like this, is that little pieces of the detail into the story get revealed a little bit at a time. It's not like when you watch some shows, you're just waiting for the big moment at the end. There's big moments, little subtle moments that are going to affect the rest of the story. So by episode, you get 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 episodes where they start to set everything up, then after that everything starts to really happen. But on the Expanse, things are always happening. So let's jump in, because again, fantastic episode, really, really good. I would say it's better than the first, only because we're each one, like I said, is going to get better. I love Miller's detective narration, the way that the proto molecule is using his voice to investigate. I mean, he's called the investigator, so it's kind of hard to not... I'm still going to call him Miller. So I'm going to call the proto molecule Miller, basically. And how, he uses detective lingo to talk about what it's looking for and investigating what's happening. And like saying, flipping switches, trying to turn the lights back on, kind of. Like, what killed you guys? Talking about this Elos place. And we have everybody kind of breaking off right at the beginning, because we start right at the end of last episode, where right after the swarm attack is. So Murtry goes with Amos, and then Alex goes to check on the civilians that are injured, and then Holden, Naomi, and Elvie, the scientists that survived the ship crash, they go to check out the swarm metal that attacked them. And she's saying to them, basically, after looking at it, that it's like just metal to us, but on this planet, it's an organism, or could be an organism. So maybe like a combination of what I was thinking, like an artificial intelligence mixed with plant life, kind of like the Phalanx on the X-Men. Wow. Everything, I don't know how true that is, but it's a process of evolution, right? So that maybe the two different creatures kind of evolved around each other, possibly. And I've got everything broken down by characters and where they are, so we're probably going to just follow certain beats. So let's talk about Ashford and Drummer's side of things first. So there was a UN colony ship that got blasted. It was sitting at the blockade, and pirates got at it. And we see this great shot of all these, just one body at first, and then all of a sudden a whole bunch of bodies just floating in space, hitting the ring. It's pretty cool, but horrifying at the same time. So basically, Ashford's saying to Drummer here that these pirates, because it's from nothing, Drummer's like, they didn't have to do this. If they just wanted their cargo, they didn't have to blow them up. They could have just taken it and left them there. But this is to send a message. So as far as it's like a minority doing something bad against, and I don't mean a minority of people, a small number of people, taking a bigger stand that could hurt the greater group of Belters. This small group of Belters is so angry still, and not to say not rightfully so, right? Because they're the working man. They're us. They're the blue-collar workers that work, and then the corporations, or the inners, the big planets, they come and take it all away. They come and they incorporate it. Somebody else puts in the work, and somebody with more power comes and takes it away. It almost makes it feel like, why bother doing anything if somebody just comes and takes everything away from you? So the anger is there, but blowing up ships just makes you terrorists. It makes you no better than them, even if you sympathize. And I know that, people, there's so many strong opinions on this. And mine is just, like what Holden tells Ashford at the end, we just keep using violence. Hate keeps following hate. And it's like I said, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Everything here in the belt is always still or in our system is still just so fragile, and people are always testing and hurting each other and pushing their lines in the sand. And I don't. There's never going to be like some outcome at the end of this where everything is perfect. It's not going to be like that. That's not the way things work. Um, but Ashford and Drummer, they're the pointed voices. Like they're the ones who are the faces of the OPA right now, because Fred Johnson and Dawes, we don't know what's going on with them. I mean, if you read the books, then you know, but I don't. And anybody else, the majority of people that watch this show, well, you know what? I'm starting to think that the majority of people who watch this show did read the books, and I'm in the minority here, because the views on these are on everybody that I look at that covers this show, except for the couple of people that do a live stream that nobody cares about the Expanse on. You know who you are. Uh, they got all the views, even though it's just two guys talking in a comment section that doesn't give a crap about the Expanse. Look at their, if you know who I'm talking about, look at their conversation in the comment section. It's like nobody gives a crap. They care, but they're using their platform just to get more views and super chats. And I'm not going to get into that, but they're trying to spread the word about the Expanse, but profiting from the fact that nobody watches it. Nobody that they know watches it. So they're the Drummer and Ashford, man. I always get so distracted about that stuff. Drummer and Ashford, they're like the faces of it. And they've got, you can see Ashford's conflicted. He's been conflicted since last episode. Drummer and him are in a really difficult position. And Ashford's loyalties to the Inners is, like, there's no loyalty there. He's doing what he has to do for his people so they don't get annihilated. But at the same time, in his heart, he wants to fight. He wants to join his people. And Drummer, she's a Belter from True and True, but she's also Naomi, Naomi's friend. And, she sees the bigger picture. She's been with Fred Johnson. She knows, she's been on the outside of it for long enough, I think, to like see that if they keep just going at it like this, they'll get annihilated. But I don't think it's also like go along to get along either. And so later on in their story, if I can find it here, I got a lot of notes. They report the explosion the blowing up of the ship to the Inners, and they share their information too. The difference is the Inners still talk to them like they're they got this guy, their face of like who to talk to, who's going to talk to the OPA people, the Belters and stuff. They could have found a better guy who clearly hates them. He's trying to hide his hate for the Belters with, we have to give it this to you, and you can just tell that he'd rather just tell them to F off. And they're now, they have to police their own, so that the Inners don't get involved, they've got to figure out who did this and try to take care of it themselves, because if the inner planets get involved in this, then it's going to turn into, the Belters and the Inners are just going to fight again, and if they can't get it figured out before then, it's going to be a bloodbath. But they ended up finding out that there's this guy named Marco Inaros, who is probably behind this ship explosion. He's probably the guy that's pirating things and making it a massacre. And it turns out, it sounds like he hurt Naomi, which will put him on Drummer's hit list, like, immediately. And so Ashford is told, Drummer tells Ashford to reach out to Dawes, and Drummer's going to reach out to Fred Johnson because of their relationship that they've had in the past, relationship. She was like his number two. And that's all for her and Ashford's story, but it's still really interesting because I'm fascinated by both these actors and the story of the people that, they want to help their people, but they're both on two sides of the same coin. Or both, flip sides of the same coin, I should say. Like, Ashford is more of he understands the pirates, and Drummer understands, like, the way to go along, to get along, but to get what you want, you have to play the game. And Ashford really is more like, I'm not going to play a game. I'm just going to, he's the more of the blunt instrument. Meanwhile, Christian, talking about her side of the story, she gets news from Holden about the proto-molecule tech that's on the planet. And that at least this kind of backs up her story of telling people that it's too dangerous to go out to the rings. And I like, she uses a line that I use, or a phrase I use, where it's like, I hate fucking being right sometimes. Where it's just like, just because you're right doesn't mean it's good news. Just because you're hoping for the best, but you plan for the worst. And it's pretty much looking like that might be the case here. So she could help save some lives, but in the end, like this just makes things more difficult because people are still going to go. And that's just the potential of more lives being lost. So it's like anybody. You tell them you can't go, they're going to want to go even more. But she's on Mars, and I like the whole thing with her husband, right? It took me a minute to realize it was her husband because they recast the guy who plays Arjun Avasarala. I thought he was just like some old friend from the past for a minute. But they get to see the magnetosphere and how I created an aurora borealis, and he's admiring how Mars does things and that they're not jaded. Like they're proud and they're at the beginnings of things and seeing how it works. So of course they're going to have like a very protective stance on their things because they're building like a whole new Earth, and Earth, has basically trashed itself. Everybody, and now all these unemployed people are reaching out to like take more from everybody else. I could definitely see why people would be mad at Earthers and Mars would be mad at Earthers and stuff. Like they're just sitting there like, like welfare babies almost. But again, like I said, I'm sure that it's more eloquent in the books. And this is more of like how I'm seeing it, more than just, I'm not making statements of fact. Okay, guys? It's just my like approach to it. I'm always on the outside looking in on this universe, And there's more to her story, but it connects to Bobby. So we might as well talk about Bobby, who's got the best part in this pretty much. Because about that girl. All the women on this show just kick ass. And again, I don't like to get off on these things, but it's like no strong female characters and men don't like strong female characters. Are you kidding me? I would love to. I would be partnered up with the girls on this show just as much as I'd want to be partnered up with the guys. There is nobody on this show that is dead weight as far as like the women characters or the men characters, the main cast. There's some dead weight in the side characters, people that you wouldn't want to hang around, probably like Murder and some of these belters who like to start shit. But I'm just saying, and nobody feels weak. Nobody feels like, oh, like some damsel in distress. There's no damsels in distress on this show. There's no Mary Sue's either. It's people that know their shit. Anyway, getting back to Bobby, she works demolitions now on Mars, and she sees the "How you doing, girl?" from the first episode. And she gets immediately suspicious. But as soon as that girl shows up, the Mars police are there. And because of who she is, she gets taken in and, questioned, interrogated, and has her loyalties questioned because of her associations with Earthers and Naomi and like so Belters. And it's like, yeah, sure, Alex is a Mars pilot, but now he's with the Rossi crew. So it's like they're a bunch of free agents working together. And that's why I'm like, Bobby shouldn't be on Mars. She should be with the rest of the free agents working on helping everyone, because that's what Bobby does, right? She's a part of like wanting to do things for Mars. She could be working with them to help, all this stuff could potentially help Mars. I am cheerleading Bobby getting back with the Rossi crew. I want I want this to happen really bad. But you don't always get what you want. And, they're pushing her loyalty in this episode. They really are. And that leads up to the party that she's supposed to go to for Avasarala. And again, they go, oh, so you're going to have dinner with the Earth ambassador. And it's like, people, it's like they're ignoring everything she did. Like what she says, everything I've done, I did for Mars. All this stuff. that I put myself through. I came back. I could have left and not faced a court martial, but I did. And I think partially the investigator that's doing this, the interrogator, is supposed to try to push buttons and supposed to try to see if you'll say the wrong thing or reveal something. I don't know if, like, maybe she does have a grudge, but part of me says, she's just doing her job, and her job is to push buttons or flip switches. But she feels like when she gets to this dinner and she sits next to Arjun, who this is where I found out that it was her husband. I was like, wait, what? And Avasarala gives this nice speech about Souther and how, there's a pause on war and we all have to, like, see that all these people, including Bobby, basically, came together to do all this, and which makes Bobby feel like a prop, makes Bobby feel like she's being used. But Avasarala didn't want it. I'm sure that there's a part of it, because she even, Bobby says, like, you're playing this game. And I don't know, like, what to do about that, because she's not a game player. She's, Avasarala is playing the game of proto-molecule thrones, but she also believes in Bobby, and she wants her to come work for her. And while that's a great offer, her pride is telling her, no, I can't. That's that's you're not getting it. But again, I feel like this whole thing is just about, like, how far can Bobby be pushed before she leaves, or maybe not. I don't know. But Bobby then, when she gets back, she follows her nephew David to wherever he's going. She's suspicious because she knows he's got ties to that girl that she saw at the dock. And she finds out that he's working at this focus drugs lab and tries to pull him out. When this character, her name's Lily, they come in and she thinks she's king shit of Fuck Mountain. And she tries to tell Bobby what's what. And this was a gorgeous ass kicking, I have to tell you so much. And she's just like, fuck this. Breaks hands, beats the hell out of these guys, throws that girl all over the ground, drags him out of here, and, little Lily. Now look, I'm sure there's going to be consequences to this, right? Because it's, you have to have conflict creates drama, drama creates stories. So there's going to be somebody that Lily works for that is going to try to come back on Bobby. In the meantime, though, she kicked their asses all over the place and tells her there won't be, if I have to do it next time, there, what did she say? Next time there won't be a next time. Like, that's it for you. If I see you again, if you bother us or you bother my, nephew again, you're dead. So that's amazing. Then getting back to who's next on the list to talk about. Well, Alex has his little thing with the doctor. He's helping out people. He doesn't have his family anymore. He still has a daughter, but his wife and him are done, and he's with the doctor trying to make sure that people aren't infected with the proto-molecule, and he kind of subtly hits on her, like, hey, let's go get a drink at the local bar. I don't drink it for the taste anyway. And then her family comes in. I forgot that on that ship she had, or there were families on there, right? Yeah, she was at the beginning of the episode. It was her and her kid and her husband, and here they come walking in now. And so they're like, "Oh, you want to have dinner?" He's like, "Oh, no." Poor Alex. So his story doesn't really have that. He's kind of tied up with all the other characters stuff. So let's go to Amos and Murder. Yeah, he's got a fitting name, right? So they go to investigate the launch pad that exploded. We find out that that's what happened. That they thought, you think it's the swarm, and maybe it still is. But the evidence at the site says that the launch pad got blown up. So that it blew up from where they knew they would be and shot up through their ship. Murder's acting cagey, though, and I remember the way he was looking at the cargo hold. So I feel like he's there looking for something, and it's not explosives, even though that's what they find. Now, there's a mystery there. And he goes back with Amos to the Belters here to tell him, you either find out who did this, or I'm going to blame all of you. And his ties with Amos, so Amos, he ends up going to the local bar and where he sits with a character named Wei, where you know, Amos wants he's happy here. There's no pollution. There's lots of moons. He wants to camp, and the girl that comes there, you know, is asking if he's trying to take her job and all that. And the next thing you know, Amos gets lucky with her, and meantime, Murder is confronted by some belters that have been confronting him since episode 1, throwing history in his face, which I do admit, you know, like I would be tempted to be the same way. Like, don't throw history in my face. I didn't do that stuff. I'm not responsible for what happened on Ganymede. You take your anger out on somebody else. You know, right now I'm worried about the 23 people that got killed here. And he's ready to walk away, and then the belter has to say one more thing about how, well, it's not over yet, you know, basically saying you could be one of them. You can't push a character like Murder like that. He's gonna be pushed too far, even if it's not. He shouldn't shoot anybody in the head, but that's exactly what he does. And now we're gonna see a bigger problem here because, you know, they're outnumbered, and it's gonna make them very hard. You know, the Belters aren't gonna want to work with these people now when you shoot one of their own. Whether the guy should have kept his damn mouth shut and not gotten himself shot in the head, because of, you know, this is the kind of thing that happens. It doesn't excuse what Murder did, but I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It's all unfortunate. Everybody hates each other so much. So we finally get to Holden's side of things, where after they looked at the proto-molecule thing, they go out to the site to check it out. They use drones, they use little probes. This LV character is one of the survivors. And throughout this, they're trying to tell Naomi, you know, like, hey, don't worry about taking it slow, but she's all, you know, I'm doing it all, and that's great, but it's Naomi. That's how she rolls, right? She either does 100% or not at all. And she doesn't want to be left alone. She doesn't want to be on the fucking ship anymore. She wants to be a part of things. She wants to feel like she's helping. She wants to help her people. You know, she doesn't like it when people like Elvie tell her, you know, try to break down her people in a couple of sentences. Sorry, I needed that. I've been talking a lot. So, they go to the site, and basically, it feels dead. Holden puts his hand on it. So he found it's like 1.5 billion years old. And so, whatever happened here, when it hit, it killed everything. If this was proto-molecule, it killed everything on the planet. Made it itself, and then evolution started over again. And that's probably what caused the swarm. And who knows how many, if it 1.5 billion years, how many evolution cycles they've had so that this creature was formed from the different cycles of life that have combined with each other. That's what I'm taking from it. So it's kind of like an AI, but not. Like, again, like, if you guys don't know what the Phalanx is and the X-Men, it's like organic life mixed with metal, or robotic, or, you know, that kind of thing. But they don't find anything, and they go back, and Naomi, it's revealed that it is really hard on her, and she throws up, and she puts herself back in the chair, and Alex has to tell her, basically, that you're, gotta find it, she's not taking to the gravity drugs, it's not happening fast enough, her heart's not strong enough, and she needs to take it slower. But she doesn't want to tell Holden, and I don't like those kind of things when they do that, because it's like she's overreacting to it. She's being they do this kind of storyline a lot where she don't tell Holden, and it's like lies never help. They only hurt. And this is the kind of thing that she's got Alex lying for her now. But when Miller shows up, after he sees that site has a big old heat signature, at least that's what I'm taking it as, that there's some sort of life in it, he appears to Holden and tells him, we got to go out there because the door's not going to stay open forever. And so they all go. But this is where Alex gets to, hold it on Naomi, saying, well, we need somebody to stay back. So it's like if she can either, Alex can either keep her secret and she can stay on the ship, or she can go with and Alex will tell Holden everything. But I still say honesty is the best policy, guys. I just, those kind of lies always just kind of annoy me on shows. But it's a minor gripe. It's a trope. It's a cliche for a reason. They'll never stop using it. So I just got to get over it, right? So and I am, but I have to point it out. So she stays and keeps an eye on them while Holden and Alex go out there. And the doors open. And they go inside, and Miller is there, always scaring him, just, again, like showing up, like just poof, like Droopy, like I've compared people that do that to like Droopy or Michael Myers, the characters that shouldn't be there just suddenly show up behind you. And he talks about the root system, and the root system wasn't there before, and that it needs to get moved because flipping switches trying to turn the lights on. So they turn it off, or they get the roots out. Suddenly everything starts to move, and then the door starts to close. And so they barely get out. Miller's there. He's everywhere. And there's 100,000 voices in his head, and that's messed up because he's hearing people that are screaming for death that never comes. Wow. That would be horrifying. But again, you have to remember, it's hard to talk about it. Like, it's easy to get myself confused, or at least I don't want to confuse anybody out there, but you guys are so good at knowing all this stuff that I feel like I'm just confusing myself. We all know what I'm talking about. Holden barely gets out, and the thing turns on. It looks like it all turns on. So they definitely flipped the right switch, because a storm is blasting, lightning is hitting the things. It's going to be crazy. And that's the end of episode 2. I think I pretty much covered everything as much as I could. It was another fantastic episode, and I want to thank everybody that's been watching. I really, I appreciate it, but it's more like we got to get out and spread the word. So share these videos. Like I said, I don't do this for likes. I don't do this for subscribers. I do want subscribers, and I do like likes. But I'm doing this so we can spread the word about this show. And I have people on my channel that have never heard of this or have never bothered to watch it. And so if we can get as many people to watch this, it guarantees more seasons if we get more people into it. And so liking, sharing, subscribing, hitting the bell for all notifications, as long as we're all working together, man, we can make sure that this show stays on the air for a long time. We don't have to have threats of having shows canceled and having to find new homes. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I want to thank you guys for accepting somebody who hasn't read the books into the community. I really love figuring things out and fumbling my way through things. So again, to all you other Screaming Firehawks out there, I'm told I'm a Screaming Firehawk. So I guess I got to start accepting that. But anyway, this is Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews saying you can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun. If you feel so inclined to help out the channel, you can donate to my PayPal at paypal.me/smirkinggunreviews. Self-promotion ain't my bad, guys. And then we'll be back with episode 3 probably in a day or so. I am trying to savor this. I don't want to binge it. Plus, I just have so many other things to do. So this is Rob saying have a great day, and we'll be back with episode 3 sooner rather than later, but probably not today. So have a great day, and we'll see you on the next Expanse. Doors and corners, kids.